In this video, we are going to show the effect of auto cost in stock transfer module after each record is made before or after each other. For the purpose of this demonstration, we are going to assume that your company has got the followings. At stock setup, stock master file, and the stock warehouse, your company has got 3 warehouses or outlets. And in the stock master, there's a code created called AAA. In the TM location and MS location, where the warehouse could also be a retail outlets. At inquiry, stock activity, at location 1 or the HQ, there are a balance of 16 units. And for location MS, there are 0 units of AAA. And also for TM location, there are no quantity in this outlet. We are now going to do some stock transfer from warehouse to warehouse. Click on stock entry, stock transfer. Click add. We are now going to transfer some stocks to the MS warehouse from the HQ location, which is location 1. Select the stock code AAA and enter the quantity 10 piece. For your information, if you have a junior user or a storekeeper doing the stock transfer, you can block the user from entering the cost or removing the auto costing button. Please refer to level control B07 for more information. Notice that the user can only see quantity but not the total cost transferred. Click Save. Print data. OK. $100 worth of goods is now transferred from the HQ to the warehouse MS, and pending for users in MS location to confirm this transfer. Log out of the stock transfer, and assuming now we are at MS location, the user is logging into the system now. Click Select. Go to the stock entry, stock transfer. He or she will see this record and accept the goods by selecting Confirm Status. Click Save. The transfer now is no more in the Pending tab and is kept in the All tab. This is a standard procedure of a stock transfer. We shall now return to the HQ, and you are now logging in as a supervisor. And check on the stock card activity of the AAA stock. Enter the stock code and the relevant date range. For warehouse location 1, click Retrieve. Notice that the cost is $10 for this transfer based on the opening balance cost of $10 here. After this transfer on the 4th of February, we are going to enter a purchases that is dated before this transfer date. At Purchase Entry, select Supplier's Invoice. Click Add. Enter the supplier's ID. At the entry date here, the system will show default today's date, but we are going to backdate this record based on the invoice date. Enter the invoice number. Next, click Add. Enter the stock code AAA at location 1 and the quantity and unit cost as per the invoice. Assuming now the cost is $7, click Add. And the create date is today, but the supplier's invoice is dated yesterday. Click Save. Print data. OK. Exit from the supplier's invoice module. Now return back to the stock card activity. This is before the purchase. Click Retrieve Data. The supplier invoice is now added into the stock card with a balance 26 pieces and deducting 10 pieces out due to the transfer with a balance of 16 pieces. With the 10 units newly added and with a different unit cost of $7, the weighted average cost of this item AAA will be affected. Therefore, the transfer cost of $10 is wrong and will be updated. Click on the Utility tab. Select Recalculate Balance. Click Yes. We shall now manually run the average cost of this stock AAA. Select the stock code. Click OK. Now return back to the stock card inquiry. Click Retrieve Data to refresh the weighted average cost. The weighted average cost is now 8.846. Double-click on the transfer. Notice that the transfer cost is not $10 anymore and is replaced with $8.84. Click Exit. Yes. Because of the auto cost function, the system has successfully recalculated the average cost and replaced the correct transfer cost to the transfer document. In the earlier scenario, we had backdated a purchase immediately after a transfer to effect the change in the average cost. The transfer cost is now updated with the latest weighted average cost due to the purchase that was backdated, as shown here. In this new scenario, we are going to change the invoice to the same date as the transfer date, which is 4th of February. That is the same as the create date. Click Save. Click OK. Now return back to the stock card inquiry. The supply invoice was before the transfer date. Click Retrieve Data. After changing the supplier's invoice date to 4th of February, the supplier invoice is now after the transfer of the goods, as shown here. The weighted average cost will be calculated by the system during midnight. But for demonstration purposes, we shall now manually recalculate the average cost of this stock AAA. Click OK. Return back to the stock card and refresh the screen. The transfer cost is worked out to be $10 because there was sufficient stock before the transfer of 16 units. And taking out 10 units, the system will take out the unit cost of $10 based on the FIFO cost because there are sufficient stocks. Following that, the average cost will be calculated based on the balance stock and the total cost. In this new scenario, again 10 units will transfer out from Warehouse 1 to MS Warehouse as shown here. And at the same time, on the same day, MS Warehouse transferred the same 10 units to Warehouse TM. All at the transfer cost of $10 per unit. After making the transfer from one warehouse to another, and from the second warehouse to the third warehouse, the user insert a supplier's invoice, enter the supplier ID, and the invoice date that is backdated to yesterday's date, and the invoice number. Click Add. Enter the stock code and the quantity and the unit cost at the lesser amount of $7. Take note the create date is different from the document date. Click Save. Print later. Exit from the supplier's invoice module. Return back to the stock card inquiry. Click Retrieve Data. The purchase is now included in the stock card activity. For demonstration purpose, we shall now manually run the average cost of the AAA stock. Click OK. Return back to stock card inquiry and refresh the average cost. The average cost now is 8.846 per unit, as shown here. We shall now look at the cost that is transferred out to other warehouse location. Select MS. Click Retrieve Data. The transfer cost that was $10 just now is now being replaced with the average cost of 8.846 because of the auto cost function. Similarly, for TM location warehouse, the cost that is transferred from MS location is also 8.846 as shown here. You have now seen the effect of the auto cost function in the stock transfer module due to the different timing and sequence of the recording of the transactions in the stock transfer module.